News Talk 640 WFNC. That's the way I like it. We got the blooming idiot in here.
Easy.
Jeff, how are you, sir?
I'm smooth and easy.
Yes, you are. Jeff is the general manager of Bell Seed Store in Fayetteville, and he's been in that position since the beginning of time.
Since the dirt was fresh.
Yeah, and I want to thank you because I've gotten some great compliments on my lawn, even though I've got that one problem with the, what is it called?
Brown pearls.
Yeah, and that wasn't my fault.
Gilbert is the envy of the neighborhood.
I don't know about all that, but I was able to do what I do because I listened to what you say when you came in here, and one thing you say is make sure you listen to what I say.
There you go. Just listen. That's what Mama used to always tell me. Just listen to what I'm telling you.
Well, Jeff, you come in here first of the month is when we like to have you, so that we can let people know where they should be in terms of being on schedule for not only their lawns but their gardens as well. It's time to plant some things. And we got drought to deal with as well.
Well, that's
Take it away.
I think that we need to promote a citywide day of rain dancing.
Hey, how are you?
Maybe,
Yes.
about 1 o'clock today, everybody just take a break from whatever you're doing, go outside, do a little dance, make a little love.
Get down tonight.
No, I'm sorry. do a little dance and try and get some rainfall coming because that is hurting us bad right now. Every day I got people coming in with pictures of their lawns and, centipede grass has just got some dieback issues, some round holes, no grass growing. A lot of that's just attributable to weather. By the time you have, an unusual spring that we had that was actually a long, extended spring, and, without the warm-up to get your grass to do what it wanted to do, and then you pile, no rain on top of that for weeks and weeks. I mean, we had a couple of showers, but not nearly enough.
Well, the thing about centipede, and that's what I have in my lawn, and a lot of lawns down here have it just because it's a warm temperature type grass, is the fact it can bounce back when we get some. But we look like Texas around here. I mean, the grass is brown.
The longer you go, the less chance of bouncing back when you start getting some rain. So it's we need it a little bit along as we go to really help things out. And the same thing with your vegetable garden. Your vegetables have got to have water. They're producing. They're trying to make fruit. They're trying to give you all the stuff that you planted them for. But without the water, it's just hard. So that's why I stress with people now when they're coming in. If you want to plant something, that's fine. Go ahead and do it, but you're going to have to make a commitment to stand out there with your water hose. When you get these high 90-degree days, you're going to have to do a lot of watering to keep stuff going to get it established.
Well, one of the investments I made when I bought my house was to go ahead and put an irrigation system in, not only the front but in the back as well. As a matter of fact, I had Snow's Landscaping do the front, and we did what we call wrap the house.
Yep.
So I didn't do it in the back because it can be expensive. So I think it was like $1,000 to have Duke come out and put a second meter in. That's the first part of it, and then you
got to put your backflow and your meter and all that stuff. So you've got costs up front before you ever start thinking about putting water.
One drop of water. That's exactly right. But I wrapped the house so that we had the water line in the back, so that when I decided to pull the trigger on putting irrigation in the back, they just had to tap into the line, which made it a little bit less expensive.
And that's a great idea. But, the one thing that a lot of people don't understand about irrigation system, they'll come in and they'll say, Jeff, I love this tree. I want to buy this tree, and what do I need to do? And I tell them, okay, well, here's how you plant it, blah, 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 and make sure for the next 4 to 6 weeks you're putting regular water on it. And then I cringe when I hear them go, oh, but I've got an irrigation system.
No.
An irrigation system for your lawn, for your grass, is great. But irrigation systems are designed to water about 4 inches deep, and that's the depth of your root zone on your grass. So that's great. Your irrigation does what it needs to do for your grass. But a tree, you buy a 15-gallon tree, that root ball is 2.5 foot tall. You need water to saturate that entire 2 to 2.5 foot, and your irrigation system is only going 4 inches. So the difference has got to be made up with you standing out there with a water hose, putting extra water to it to get these trees to survive. So larger plant material, even 3-gallon shrubs, you've got to provide extra water because an irrigation system is not going to be enough to get them to root in, to get them to start flourishing and surviving. So you just really have to make that commitment to want to water to keep your stuff alive if you're going to plant this time of year.
If I turn my mic on, that would help.
We want to hear you.
In terms of what's the duration that someone who is planting a new tree that's got to do that watering, how much of a commitment, how long should they be
I tell everybody, you plant a tree, and I don't care if it's hot blazing summer or spring, fall, it doesn't matter what time of year. If you're going to plant a tree, automatically you're making a 2-week commitment to water every day. You water every morning. Don't water at night, water in the morning, and you water it every day for 2 weeks. After that first 2 weeks, then you can typically go back to every other day. Now, with the temperatures we're having now, I would tell you for 4 weeks you need to be watering every day. But typically, under normal conditions, when we're getting rainfall and we're not getting 100-plus degree weather, every day for 2 weeks, every other day for 2 weeks, and then let's just kind of monitor it and see what it looks like beyond that. So those first 4 weeks are going to be critical on any shrub or tree.
You made an interesting remark there, water in the morning. And I try to tell people that, I see people watering in the afternoon, and you're just wasting your watering.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that and why that's
Well,
essential.
the whole idea behind your water is once you put out water, your plant is going to take that water up that it needs, and it's going to take it up pretty darn quickly. Whatever water is left is just going to sit there. If you water in the morning, that leftover water is going to evaporate off, and then you don't have root rot, fungus problems, all that. But if you water in the evening, you've got all that excess water just sitting there all night long for hours, and that's how you start developing problems.
Yeah, but the argument that I've been made to me is, well, it rains at night. But there's a difference there.
Yeah, there's that. You also don't get near the growth and the good stuff out of any tap water. I love PWC, but their water is still not good as God's water, and they'll even admit that to you. So it's the rainwater, you take it whenever it comes. It will do its thing. But for your excess water that you're putting down, always in the morning. If you got to do a second water with these high 90-degree temperatures, you plant a big old tree. Yeah, you may need to be watering twice a day when you get up to close to 100. But that second watering you don't want to do past about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
The issue for a lot of people who don't have irrigation system is the fact they got a total hose around.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just uneven watering, know. And so if you got to go to work and you do the front side and then you come back, there's you got to have enough.
Is better than nothing.
Well, that's true. But you have to have enough hose, I guess, and enough sprinkler heads to cover everything at one time.
I know a place you can buy some hoses and sprinkler heads. And
where would that happen to be?
Downtown Russell Street, right across from the courthouse, a Bell Seed Store since 1919.
If you're just joining us, Jeff Thompson, no P in his Thompson, is the general manager at Bell Seed, and you've been doing that for quite some time, and you've been on this show forever, as a matter of fact.
Almost.
I mean, who was the first guy you were on with?
I was on. Well, I was on.
You were on with Jeff Thompson.
With Jeff Thompson and Wendy a couple of times, and then Jim, and then Terry, and there's a whole long list of people Jordan, I've gone through.
Well, I tell
they
you
have
what,
come and gone, but I'm still here.
You're still here and doing your thing. Now, let's get back to watering for 1 second here, because when you do water in the morning, I think I turn mine on at 4 or 5 in the morning or whatever it is, an automatic system, and then it goes to 5 zones, and it takes care of everything. And some areas are smaller than others, so instead of leaving that on for 20 minutes, that one's on for 10 or whatever. In order to get the saturation that you need, let's say on your front lawn, how long should your sprinkler system be on, and does that vary based on what type of sprinkler head you have?
It does vary because you have different heads that are going to put out a different volume of water, and so you're not going to need them to run as long as you would for a head that's putting out a smaller volume of water or a larger volume of water, however I said that. But a general rule of thumb, if you can run it for 12 to 15 minutes every morning, you're in good shape. Now, if you have a little tiny area, because if they put your irrigation system in and they put shrub heads in, which don't put out as much water, those you can still run for 12 to 15 minutes, but it's a lower volume of water. Your grass, the same 12 to 15 minutes on a lawn head will give you a little bit more water, but that's what you want. So, 15 minutes is a good average time to let a sprinkler run.
This is July 1st, and I always like to look out the farmers' areas, and you see the tobacco out there real small. And in August he's going to be standing tall and everything. And the tobacco really likes dry conditions a little bit more than having too much rain. As in terms of a home garden, what should people be planting anything right now? If so, what should they be planting now?
You're kind of in an in-between time. You can still plant. In fact, we still have some okra. I think we still got some squash and cucumbers. All those, your squash and cucumber and okra come up from seeds so quickly, you can go ahead and start them. And a lot of people will stage plantings all through the summer so that they can stretch them farther into the fall. So there's a lot of stuff, and a lot of our vegetables will stay producing until you get to that first frost, which around here can sometimes be November. So you can plant in the middle of the summer. Again, you just got to make the commitment to water, and then you'll have crops that are coming off on in through late summer, early fall. Tomatoes are the same way. A lot of people plant tomatoes, stage them out every 3 or 4 weeks, so they've got tomatoes coming off continuously until it gets too cold.
Kenny Hitman McLean came in the other day with some of his cherry tomatoes that he planted, and they look pretty good.
Yep.
It doesn't take long for those things to pop up
Cherry
and go.
tomatoes are like weeds. I mean, you can hardly kill a cherry tomato, and once you plant them, you can even ignore them a lot, and you'll still get a lot of tomatoes. You pay more attention to them, you'll get hundreds of tomatoes. So the cherry tomatoes are one of the easiest things to grow.
Well, and people, I think they've set up little boxes, and there are a lot of different ways you can set up a garden, I guess, at your home, with 2x4s or little planks of wood and all types of things. You guys even have containers that you can use to set up stuff.
The big nursery pots that your trees come in, we sell a lot of those 20 and 25-gallon pots. I mean, you can put several things in those, and you're just much better able to control your growing conditions. So you're selecting the soil that goes in there, so you can put a good high-quality soil in there instead of depending on what may be in your yard. Because once you start digging in your yard to plant something, you never really know what's in there. So if you have a raised bed of some kind, whether it's in a pot or a manufactured thing, you can put the kind of soil you want in there. Get good compost in there, get some good, potting soil in there, and then you're going to have more success because you're going to have better dirt. I've always said you got to put a $5 plant in a $10 hole. So you got to, what happens underground, the rooting you're forming is twice as important as what you're seeing above ground for the initial development.
Well, and that brings us back to your lawn, because a lot of people think I need a nice green grass, and your centipede is just not the greenest type of grass just by nature.
Right.
I mean, it's just not going to be that way. So you put down a ton of fertilizer to try to get it green, or a bunch of iron down, I guess, to try and turn it green.
Yep.
But the bottom line is your grass is your roots.
Yep.
And what you do to it in terms of how high you cut the blade of grass that's on top of it is important. Elaborate on that a little bit, because people don't understand how much you need to cut and why that's important to your roots.
Well, centipede is an off-green grass. It's always got a little yellow tinge to it, and that's normal. Yes, you can darken it up when you put out your spring fertilizer, which I recommend, that 8-4-16. It's got 2% iron in it. That iron helps to green up because you're using a low nitrogen, which is what your centipede wants. So it does get greener, and you notice after you put the fertilizer out, it is a darker green, but over time it's going to go back to yellow. So yes, you can put iron on it because straight iron doesn't have the harmful benefits of extended use of nitrogen. So you can put iron on it that will help level out your green and help, get a darker green going. But your centipede, too many people cut it way too short or let it grow way too tall. Centipede, 1.5 to maybe 2 inches tall, and that's as tall as you need to let it grow. You don't need to go under that because you'll scalp it a lot. And once you start scalping it over and over again, you're going to kill that crown out. And so you'll just start having bare areas that just get worse and worse. So zoysia, Bermuda, they're a thicker, smaller blade grass, and so you really need to keep them shorter because they're so crowded. You don't get sunlight and you don't get air movement down there, and so you start getting fungus problems and rot problems if you let your Bermuda and zoysia grow too tall. So 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inches on your Bermuda and zoysia, and then that will help you consistently look good on your Bermuda and your zoysia especially.
All right, lastly here, people talk about aerating and thatching, two different procedures,
Yep.
both important to your lawn.
Yeah.
What should be you
And you
be
can
doing
do them at the same time, and now is pretty much the time to do your aerating. Everybody always wants to do it in the spring, but you don't need to be aerating and then following up with seed. You need to at least give it a 2-week break after you aerate to put seed down, but your aeration needs to go on when your grass is growing as aggressively as it can. Right now, normally, that'd be it. With the lack of rain, it's not growing as aggressively as it could, but by aerating, you will allow to get a little bit more water directly to the root zone when you do get water. So aeration is a good thing to do now, and your thatching is just never let your thatch build up. You need to just go through there with a good stiff leaf rake. A lot of times will take care of that. Just rake it out, get all that junk that's forming at soil level out, and then that will really help you a lot to keep other, especially disease problems from getting in the way.
Well, especially with centipede, since it's a vine-type grass and it's growing kind of thing, and you get this kind of matted thing over it if you don't take care of it here.
You gotta have them runners.
Well, and it's just lastly here, in terms of doing the aeration, should you cut the grass first and do the aeration, and then do something? Does it really make a
It doesn't
difference?
much matter. Ideally, what you want to do is use a core aerator, which pulls the plugs up out of the ground. So when you do that, they're going to be laying on top of the ground. So it's easier if you cut your grass first, then aerate, then you can rake all those up and get them out of the way. If your grass is taller, it's just harder to rake them up and clean it up.
Well, but some people keep them down or just rake over them because
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, I would still like to rake them down just because it'll bust up that dirt a little bit, because if you end up putting big chunks of dirt right back into those holes, you've kind of defeated the purpose of what you're doing.
There you go.
I mean, your soil will expand and it will fill in those holes. So removing it is certainly not a problem. If you got a compost pile, put them in your compost pile.
Yeah, you see it on golf courses all the time on the green.
yeah.
They'll put some sand down, I guess, after they aerate.
Yep.
And then I can't putt straight. And that's my excuse.
Well, hey, whatever's going to work for justifying your score,
There
Gilbert.
you go.
We ain't going there too heavy.
Jeff Thompson is the general manager of Bell Seed Store. You come in here around the first of the month. And this just happened to work out perfectly that you're able to get in here on the first and bring us up to date on what we should be doing. So next time we'll see you, it'll be in August, the first time, somewhere around there.
Hopefully we'll have a lot of rain. Remember, everybody, 1 o'clock today, go out and do a rain dance. Let's see what happens. Maybe if we get a collective effort, we can get something going on, and the good Lord will bless us with a little bit of rainwater.
All right. Well, look, and before we let you go here, because we're going to go to the weather.
To something.
Commercials.
We're going to go straight to commercials because we've gone way on overboard here.
Oh, well.
You're going to be involved with the Snyder, with the church thing that's coming on, the 250 celebration that's happening.
Yep. Doing
and
out at the Crown Coliseum, a whole bunch of churches getting together to do some wonderful patriotic music. We were singing